Right. It's not taking up a lot of CPU, and I think we're good. So, what I'm gonna have to do is, it should be in Chitty Chat. I'm gonna have to grab it again. Nope. Check Chitty Chat. If you want to follow along, there is the basics.rar. That has everything in it already for the basic shit. It allows you to work with the model alongside me, rig it, and put it in Unity. But it requires that you already have Blender and already have Unity. If you don't have that, it's in the Bitrex's avatar resources, and it's one big thing. You won't need the basics, because it'll have everything in it. So if you want to follow along, please download that. It may take you some time, but even though you'll be delayed behind me, it should be enough to get you started. Plus, again, this will be recorded, so even if you are lagging behind, there will be a resource for you to follow later on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make sure I have that skeleton that's in there. Nope. Okay, there we go. So what you're going to have in the assets should be this. Just simply this and nothing else. You're going to extract the VRChat to whatever location you want it to be. It may take some time. Once that's done, there's a base.unity. We will open this later, but right now we don't quite need it. We're going to attach both of these together and rig the avatar to get it ready for Unity. So what you'll do is you'll open Blender. If I move too fast, I am sorry. It's just habit. We're going to go to the stream assets. We're going to import Lumpy. The first thing to note is we're already on a bad start. The tries are way above VRChat's minimum. So we're going to have to make sure to delete anything that's in the way. And that should still be way too much. Let's find out. Actually, no. We're at 25,000. That's actually really fucking good. And yes, he's blocky as hell, but it should be fine. If not, there's always the subdivision tool that'll add more detail, but it can cause some issues. So what we're going to do is, his model's already set up. It's straight up good to go. So we're going to import the skeleton that I have added to that package. It's already set up. So we're going to scale with the S button and get Lumpy to about the size of the skeleton where we need it. This should be good. I'm going to hit 5 on the number pad and then 1. This will change the camera view to where I can actually work with it. We're going to right click the armature, go to this little tab right here. There is an X-ray button. We're going to click it. Now we can see the armature through the model. This will allow us to modify it, make sure it's actually 1-to-1 with how we need it sized. With the armature selected, we will hit the tab button and it will go into edit mode. I might actually scale it down a bit more. I'm going to get the legs about this height. Nah, fuck it, that's pretty good. We're going to... I just hit B, which allows you to select a lot of stuff at once. You just drag and click. We're gonna need... This is his kneecaps. We're gonna need those level there. This is his hips, feet, and toes. It's pretty basic. We're going to move the armature down to where it's level. Now, there's one thing to keep in mind. This is not going to have full body support. I don't know how to do that. I need to learn how to do that. But maybe I'll make an update in the future that'll teach. Because I know for a fact that this has to be inverted and then 2 extra bones have to be made from here. But I don't know how to apply it in Unity. So for now, this is just for basic VR or desktop users. I'm going to modify the armature to make sure that each of these circles are in each other. That way it doesn't cause any issues. Now what we have here are eyes. I'm not sure... You know what, yeah, we will do eye tracking. It's a little advanced, but it's not too damn difficult, so it shouldn't be much of a problem. I'm going to use the G key and the Z button to move it on the Z axis. Even if I go left and right, it's not going to go anywhere but up and down. I'm going to make sure that the shoulders here are going to be a decent angle, and that the bones, the circles here, are going to be at each and every part where it's going to pivot. Now, we're going to worry about the finer details in a little bit, but for right now, we're just going to make sure that this is actually just about right. I keep using the G and S keys to move along. Now, because the hand is in a different position than the actual armature, we're not going to worry about the fingers for now. We're going to just hit the C button to bring up this little circle. Use your mouse wheel to change its size. We're going to select all the fingers on both hands and just delete them. We will remake them later. It's not hard. With them gone, it's easier just to modify the arm and the wrist. Shit. Now again, because I'm going fast, there's not much to be able to tell what buttons I'm pushing. I wish I could record what buttons I'm pushing, that way it'd be easier for you. But this is all we got, so the recording should at least help with that. Now you can take your time with this. It's not something that needs to be rushed. Gotta figure it out on your own, after all. So if I'm going too quick, I apologize. I know I've said that already, but just like to really highlight that I'm not trying to go too fast. We're gonna keep moving the bones to where we need it to be. We don't normally want the neck and the head joint to be below the mouth, but because of how cartoony he is, I don't think we really have a choice. Are we going to do eyes? Tell you what, not on this model, since it's going to require a little bit more work to it and might screw with the visemes. So for now, we're going to delete the eyes, and maybe I'll do a sequel at some point about just eye tracking and visemes on a different model. Should make it easy then. What is with the size difference though? That's strange. Seems to be fine. It's weird. Okay, it should be alright. Now, with his armature set up to mimic how his body is positioned, we're going to use that and build his hands. Now, what I'm going to do is on this bottom window here, I'm going to set it to 3D view. And I'm going to up the window a bit. This will make it easy for us to do his fingers. I hit 1 and 5 again to change the camera angle. And I'm going to go right here to this little three section line and drag it to the left to create another window. I hit 1 and 5 again just to make sure I have the same view. We're going to zoom in. I will only need one hand here. I'm going to hit 7 to go straight up. This will allow us to actually be able to move the armature to the model. That way there's no issues. Now, because the model is not attached to the armature just yet, we're going to scooch it forward a bit. So we'll go into edit mode, which is tab. We're going to change our view to 3 on the number pad, and then hit G and then Y. This will move it on the Y axis only. We're going to make it to where the arms, if you'll notice on the bottom right, are more level with the actual armature. And did that for the legs too as well. We're going to exit out of the edit mode, click the armature with the right click again, change the view to 1, hit tab. We're going to create these bones. It's kind of hard to do that. Alright, let's C to select it. We're going to hit E to extend it. We're going to hit X to extend it on the X axis. Oh wait, S and then X. Okay, there we go. We are going to select both of these new bones. We're going to hit Alt P. This window right here will be called Clear Parent. It should come up. We'll click Disconnect the bone. We're going to move it to where... this is going to be a bit difficult because of his angle. We're going to try and get it to where these bones are in the exact same position. Whenever you're making thumbs, you have to have a little bit of extra space right there, because that's about where your actual fingers start. If you ever need to think of how you're doing finger bones or bones in the hand, look at your actual hand, think of how the bones are in there, and go from there. Each and every single digit requires 3 bones, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Now remember, place that in every joint. We're going to extend again, and then SX, GZ. See, now it's mimicking. We're going to do it again. ESX, GZ. And that's about where we want it. We're just going to have to reposition them a bit. So we're going to GZ, SX, SX, GZ. Just keep modifying it, figure out the best way to get it. That should be good. Yeah, that's looking pretty good right there. That's his thumb, the entire section there. We're going to do the index finger next, and it's going to use a similar process. But if you want to save yourself some time with the separating bones, you can right click and shift click to select just the beginning bones here. Hit Shift D and it will duplicate it. So we're going to move it to where the position is right there on the bone. Now you're going to have to make sure it's also in the right position over here. You're going to always want that ball where it's going to pivot. Don't have to be precise about it, but try and make sure it's always on a line. That way it's a bit more accurate. We're going to select the tips of this with shift right click. We're going to GZ, ESX, GZ, ESX, GZ. And we're just going to keep doing this every time until all fingers are completed. GZ, wait no, Shift D, GZ. Zoom in, SX, select the ends, GZ, GX, ESX, GZ. You get the idea. Now I just messed up, just gotta watch it. Just move it back over. Now, sometimes it's not going to mimic perfectly on each hand. That's alright, you can just modify it. See, it's not so bad. See, that's a bit better. We're going to duplicate one more time to create the pinky. this one's going to be a little interesting because the bones are a bit messy. I mean, the vertexes are. I'm going to be a bit more precise with this and only do one hand at a time. I mean, one bone at a time on each finger. Okay, there we go. His hands are done. Now, the fingers are not usable until you actually change how it reads them. Because right now, they're bone names. It's hand L001. Unity cannot read that. So we're going to go over here and click this bone icon. And there's a name tab right here. We're going to change it to L_thumb. We're going to copy this, hit enter, right click the next part, paste it, and it'll automatically add the 01. We're going to do it again here. And then we're going to do the index finger. So L index. And then do the process all over again. Now, even though the pinky is obviously the pinky, Unity isn't going to want to read it that way. So we're actually going to have it where it's thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger. The pinky will not exist, because technically it doesn't. So L middle, apply it, then L ring. We're going to do this exact same process on the other hand. Now, always got to make sure that it applied the names. So, with it clicked, just make sure it's naming properly. Oh, see, didn't do it here. So we're going to copy the L middle, click here, because that would have fucked us up. We're going to do it over here again. R_thumb. Copy it. Paste. Paste. R index. Paste. Paste. R middle. I wish there was a way to do this without having to constantly let go of my mouse, but sadly that's not possible. R ring. Alright, there we go. All bones are properly named. Oh, right here, always got to make sure that you have the toes, but if you click a bone and it ever says end on it, see like right here, just delete them. They're completely useless. We cannot use that. Alright, so with the armature mapped to be how his model is, we're now going to parent them together. So I'm going to hit tab to exit edit mode. I'm going to click on his model and shift click the armature. Both will be selected, but the armature will have the brighter outline, because the model should have that dark orange right there, but the armature shall have a bright orange. With both selected, we're going to hit Control P. We're going to click Armature Deform. The Set Parent To window should show up. So we're going to click Armature Deform. This makes the model parented to the armature. So if I move the armature, the model should move with it. If it does not, you've messed up. You'll have to check and see why. You may have to have both selected and Alt P and then clear parent, and then try it again. But since it is working, we're going to make sure that this armature is still in X-ray mode. It shouldn't change until you click that. We're going to click the armature, go from object mode to pose mode. It should have no more of the orange outline, and if you right click, it'll have a blue outline instead. Now, to make this easy, we're going to go on display over here, and we're going to check it to where it's something that's a bit more easier to work with. I prefer stick, because you can actually still see each joint, but it doesn't cloud the model with a bunch of fucking space. So with this selected, it should still glow blue. We're going to have this armature already selected. Shift right click our model. We're going to go to object mode and click weight paint. It should turn blue with one bone selected. We're going to go to tools on the left here. I prefer setting the curve to be a line. That way there's no spacing in between it, and it'll be easier to actually just move it. So on the bottom, we're going to make sure that this limit selection to visible is unchecked. This will, I'll show you an example right here. With the head bone, I'm going to weight paint it. And it should be through, and it's not. The whole thing should be red, not one side. So we got to make sure this is turned on. And we're going to do it again. You'll see the difference. What the hell? That is acting up weird. I might be using the wrong version of Blender. If it decides it's not going to work for you, for whatever reason, like the issue I'm having right now, that's fine. You will hit the Z button on your keyboard. No, it's still acting up. Oh goody, problems on the stream. Gotta love it. This is going to cause so many issues. Oof. Why is it not going through?
Oh, that's why I was about to point out.
Wait, did it do it? No. That is so weird. What is going on? Hold on, let me make sure. Limit selection visible. Let's Google this. Let's find out what's going on. No, that's not it. Here we go. Are you kidding me? Of course, it's a mistake that I did. Because this window still exists, it's preventing me from doing anything. So I'm gonna change it to UV image editor and do it that way. We could also close it by at the bottom left here, dragging it down so it'll disappear. Now it should work. Let me just... There we go. There. It should function properly. Let's test it. And there we go. The problem's fixed. That was all my bad. So whenever we're weight painting an armature, we're going to want to make sure that we weight paint a little bit below where the joint is on that armature. We'll have to go on both sides if we have to. Looks like we'll just go a bit lower. We need to anyways because of the mouth. I generally prefer keeping it as symmetrical as possible. That may not always be possible, but it's always worth a shot. And it's basically just painting. I mean, it's not a difficult process, it's just a little time consuming. And if you mess up, you'll know quickly. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a bit. If you painted the wrong section, you can't just erase by painting again. You have to go all the way to the top left and drag the weight to 0. It's faster than having to type it. And then if you paint again, it'll erase. Drag it to be 1 and try it again. That looks pretty symmetrical to me. That's good. Just make sure that every single bone has been painted. Now, here's one thing to notice. The lines right here on these vertices are not matched up with the joint where that bone is. So we're going to go one more line down. So if I do this one, I'm going to go one more line up, just to make sure it covers the entire basis. See right here, it's fine. The joint is just about where the vertex is, but that means when I go here, I'm going to have to go one higher. None of this is difficult, just very, very fucking slow. Just do each and every bone, make sure not to miss anything. Now when it comes down to the shin and the ankle, or the foot, always make sure none of the extra part of the model is selected. Gotta try and keep it where its range is. So we're gonna do the foot. What I normally do is I do it straight first. Paint the whole thing, make sure there's no blue. Go down, and his toes are being consumed by the foot, so we're gonna fix that. Always want to have a little bit more space with the vertices. Okay, now we're going to take the toes and map it. This is basically what white painting is it's telling the program this is where each bone is connected to the part in the model. If you don't do this, there's no way it can tell whether or not the model is parented to any particular bone system. So if you don't weight paint, you're just basically screwing yourself. By the way, is the music fine to anyone? Like, it's not too loud, it's calm. I'm just gonna assume, yeah. See, now white painting is not too bad until you get to the fucking fingers.
Yeah.
And I'll show you why.
Yeah.
By the way, whoever did this model did really good. They didn't triangulate any of the planes. Like, notice how they're all squares?
Yes, that's how light.
That's a good thing. We don't like triangles when it comes down to VRChat models. A lot of times you don't have a choice. You have to deal with the hand that you're given. But if it's ever square planes, you're on a good fucking track. It just means your model isn't going to have a lot of tearing. It's going to be a lot cleaner. Fuck. Hit Control Z if you ever go back. That way you don't have to continuously slide the weight paint to 0. Now, this is the wrist. We can't have the whole fucking hand selected. So I'm going to zoom out and make sure that a good portion of the hand will be painted instead. There we go. We don't want it to catch on with the other joints. It's kind of fine if it starts cutting into the first thumb bone, but we will be fixing that. We're going to want it to be like that. Just paint how you need to, make sure it looks good. Get rid of what's not necessary. The hands take the most amount of time out of this whole thing. It's the hardest work you have to put in because it'll tear really easily and you'll find out pretty quickly if it's doing that. Just paint each section. You don't have to be slow with it. You can go fast and adjust, but I recommend just going slow because then you can't mess up easily. But remember, each bone, there should be 3 in each digit section, each finger. Just make sure you're not ever forgetting that, because it'll be very bad. You won't have working fingers, or it won't register all of them, so it won't do gestures, that kind of stuff. Now we will be doing a basic viseme system, to where his mouth will move. It'll act like he's talking. And I will also map some emotions to him. That way when you're talking, you can hit one of your gestures on the controller to basically make it where he smiles or he frowns or something like that. We'll probably just do one. We don't want to do a bunch, since I don't want the stream to go on forever. Alright, so apparently I finished the hand, and I say apparently for a good reason. We're going to select the forearm, or any part of the arm really, and hit G and move it. You should not see any blue lines or weird stretchy parts coming from the fingers. We're going to check each bone. I'm hitting G to rotate them, by the way. Okay, the left hand is good. We're going to do the right hand now. Always make sure that the arm is covered. You might have to angle to do it. It's fine if you don't get it precise. I mean, I severely doubt anyone's weight painting is going to be perfect. Now, the one thing to note when you're doing these kinds of avatars, higher poly count is actually better, because you can get more accurate weight painting. Because when it's lower poly like this, there's a good chance it's not going to be quite as smooth with the finger bending or anything like that. So I always recommend having something about 30k. This is why it was always an issue when it came down to VRChat's poly limit. It was so bullshit because you couldn't get some good weight painting going on, outside of also not having a lot of detail. I'm just glad they fucking upped that, because it was getting ridiculous. Like, one of my models is really fucking damaged from that, and it's the Jeff the Killer. His polys are so fucking low that I'm surprised weight painting even worked with it. It's fine if you don't always have the vertices overlapping, but if you think it's ever going to cause an issue, it does not hurt to add more to it. Tearing like this happens a lot, but notice that one triangle on the left? That's what we would like to avoid. So we're going to weight paint again, make sure it stretches fine, looks good. I know some people like to actually check the bones as they're going, and it just depends on the person. I check it whenever I'm done, that way I can finalize everything. Is everyone finding the stream okay so far, though? It's the first time I've done this shit. Okay, good. For the music part, good. I might put that on loop just in case. I'm surprised we're already 40 minutes in. Okay, now we're just gonna check each bone, make sure there's no tearing, no pulling. And it's resetting by me hitting the escape button, so if you're checking, just hit escape and it won't save the position. Okay, looks like we're doing good. Grab the head. The hips will always move the whole fucking thing, so you can't really test there. Okay, looks like we're doing good. His armature seems to be set up fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here and go to object mode. Get out of white paint. We're going to click the armature, set it to object mode. This is arguably done. We could just call it right now if we wanted to, but because we're going to want to make it where his mouth moves, at least, we're going to do a little bit of extra work. So I'm going to click the pose. I'm going to remove the X-ray. We don't need it anymore. It's just distracting now. We're going to click on the model and hit tab. It may look like a fucking mess, so hit your Z button. If that doesn't go away, right down here, there's a button, limit selection to visible. Make sure it's turned on. That way you should be able to only see whatever you're looking at. So, we're going to add visemes, and it is not the easiest or quickest process available. So we're going to exit tab mode and spam the fuck out of this plus button on this section under shape keys. We're going to need at least 11. You should have the basis and 11 keys. We're going to rename each of these how we are going to have the model speak. So key 1 is A, S, D, F, E, R, C, H for ch. We're going to do U, I, O, and P. That should be good enough. That's a decent number. It'll be smooth enough. You've seen the visemes on my models. This is about the normal number I go for, and you don't really notice much of anything outside of it being fluid. So I always feel that 11 is a pretty good number. Now, just in case you don't remember the vowels and shit like that you have to use, I will share with you an image that I always used whenever I was first learning that helps me remember what visemes we need. And I will drag that into I guess Chitty Chat will work. So if you ever want this, it's right there. Okay, so we're gonna go back to Blender. Hold on, I gotta see what Trev says. The old wise Gandalf. Alright, we're gonna go back into edit mode. With these visemes sitting here, we're gonna tell it how to run. So first, his mouth is already open. We do not want that. We're gonna click the basis. And this is where it gets a little interesting. Because if you hit Z, you'll notice the tongue and teeth are not attached to the actual body. They're just kind of floating there. This is kind of an issue, because it'll make it a little bit harder for our visemes to work. Normally, when it comes to certain models, they're pre-attached and in the model, which works a lot fucking better. But in this case, no, we're not lucky. So we're going to right-click one vertice in each model on the bottom, including the lip right there. It's hard to see, but you can kind of understand where I've clicked. I'm going to go down to the bottom right here. There's a circle, proportional editing mode. Click that and click connected. It should automatically be on smooth. That's fine. We're going to hit G, and notice it should do this. You're going to want to decrease the mouse scroll till you can actually see the circle. Hit Z, and there we go. That's how easy it is to get his mouth at least decently closed. It's like a Wallace and Gromit closed, you know, not always fully shut, but it's just enough. We're going to move the tongue a bit lower. There we go. There we go. That's the basis for keeping the mouth closed. We can go from there and add the other visemes. Each one of them should look like the basis. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting and time consuming. If you want to be precise, go for it. Otherwise, you could just... Oh god, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to just make this shit cancer for a moment, just to show you what it's like. You can change the ranges how you want, but normally just keep it at 1, and we're going to undo that. So, with it being the A vowel, we're going to select everything again, GZ, I feel like that's a pretty good A right there. Maybe lower. Yeah, that's pretty good. We're gonna go to S. That's actually a pretty good S right there, with his basis already closed, so we're just gonna grab the side of his cheeks. Oh, and I guess maybe his teeth too. Oof. Top teeth. No. Okay, so just the sides. We're gonna change it from smooth to sharp. Move it up. Now, if you aren't sure whether or not the Visine looks good, you can always preview it outside of edit mode. Click on the one you want and change the value up. You should see the mouth move. It'll animate. I'll get the teeth closer. Just fiddle with it. It's kind of a pain. Actually, I have a better idea. Let's make sure we're back on smooth. I'm just glad he doesn't have a shit ton of teeth. This could be really time consuming. Okay, there we go. Let's hit S. I suppose that's good. I really blame the style. That kind of makes it more difficult. Now we're gonna do D. Select the teeth here. Tongue, part of the mouth. It's just really fucking repetitive. Okay. Ooh, F is gonna be fucking hard. Suppose we can do it like this. Okay, let's see how that is. Oh, did I just do that to D? Yes, I did. Oh my god. We're gonna have to... That's fine. What we're gonna do is name F to Z, and then D to F, and then Z to D. We're just gonna make it where that's F instead. It's a bit awkward, but that works. Yeah, you always gotta make sure you have the right visine selected. Don't do what I just fucking did and nearly screw yourself. We're gonna try and recreate D the best we can. And when it comes down to simple mouth movements like ones on this, you can reuse them because there's a lot more visemes than the ones I've put in the shape keys here. So we're going to reuse them. Like there's an N, there's a K, there's an I. We should have an I. Okay, yes we do. We can just repeat those for some of them. That way it mimics fluid motion for the teeth and mouth. The E is going to be a bit tricky. I always... If it helps when you're doing visemes, try and do the mouth movements with your mouth, like just mimic E, D, F. Try and think of how your mouth is moving, and then mimic it that way. It helps me quite a fucking bit. I'm going to scale it a bit. E. I suppose that's alright. Let's... R will always have the upper lip go up quite a bit. God damn it. I suppose that could work. Alright, let's do the ch. And yes, I am making very weird faces while I do this. I'm just so glad I don't have a webcam on. That would be fucking embarrassing. Okay, this is going to be a bit more difficult. Oof. That's weird. Let's get the teeth up. I suppose that's good. Do an eye. It's basic. We're almost done. Oof. Suppose that'll work. P. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Normally I just use kind of how I think my head is. Oh, and by the way guys, if you like the stream, please be sure to subscribe to DoVat. Okay, now, he seems to be done. There seem to be no issues, his armature's set up, visings are good. So what we're going to do is we're going to click File, Export, FBX. We're going to go where our assets are, in VRChat Assets. We'll name him Lumpy. Oh shit, I fucked up. Whenever you're exporting, always go to Armatures here and deselect Add Leaf Bones. It's on the left side under Export FBX. That will really fuck up your stuff if you don't keep your eye on it. So now with him set up, we're going to open base.unity in the package I gave you. This has everything set up good to go. You can always use it for any avatar you want because it's got the SDK, the shader in it, plugins, all set up and ready to go. You don't have to fucking keep importing every single time you want to make an avatar. Instead of wasting 15 minutes, it'll only take you maybe 30 seconds. Okay, so what I always do when it comes down to avatar height is I go to the VRC SDK, Examples, Assets, Tutorial Avatar, and drag this blue motherfucker into the open area. That's actually pretty good height, because if you think about the other Happy Tree friends, they're really fucking short, and he's always taller. I wouldn't expect him to be as tall as a person, so I feel like this should be an acceptable height. I gotta see. Alright, we'll delete him, because we don't need him anymore. We're going to go back to Assets, go to Lumpy, and on this side you should have the Lumpy import settings, Rig, set it to Humanoid, Apply. It'll ask you to save. When you click Configure, just yes. This is where we tell the program to set up the armature. With the skeleton I gave you, it may not pick up the chest. I doubt it will. So you can drag it from the left here into this open section, or you can click this ball and double click chest. Either way it does the exact same thing. Scroll all the way down to where you see toes, click the ball, go to Assets and None. We're going to do this for both toes. Unity really fucks up a model when it tries to read the toes, so we're going to want to just straight up avoid that. We're going to go to Head, make sure that there are no eyes or jaws, because we didn't set up any. We don't need it. And we're going to click Done and Apply. This will set up the model. It can now move in VRChat. So there's only one issue. He's white. Well, I mean, it's not a race thing, but it's kind of a problem. So we're going to create a new material. We're going to want to pay attention to what colors he has on him. He's obviously blue. His mouth will be... Actually, will probably still be blue. I doubt that's actually separated. His teeth will be white, tongue will be pink, eyes white, pupils black, and horns will be a apricot color. So we're going to duplicate with Control D a couple times. This should be enough. I always prefer we use the cubes Unity because it'll actually make him look like a cartoon. It should be in the package. You've got a shader, cubed paradox, flat lit tune. We're going to set the outline mode to tinted, and we'll adjust for each material as we need it. So first we're going to set up his body to be a light blue. That looks good. Drag it there. Yeah, that's looking good. We're going to increase the width of the tinted to 4. Yeah, that looks pretty smooth. It's tearing a bit. See that right there? It's kind of hard to... See how that outline is tearing? All you have to do is just reduce the width. 0.2 might be necessary. Yeah, it's necessary. Looks like what happened is it's trying to... It's tearing because it doesn't have triangles. Oof. I hate that. Alright, we're going to set the horn material. Make an apricot color. That should be good. Set it there. The eyes, we're gonna not want the tint to it. Oh god, those eyes, those soulless fucking eyes. Actually, we will add a tint, so let's undo that. Back to tinted. 0.2. Oh my god, what? Okay. Noted. That's not gonna work. Create the pupil here. And not tinted. Okay, we got good news. Looks like the inside of the mouth is needing to be mapped, so we'll create a peach pink color. I suppose that's what his mouth would be, right? Let's see. I need an open mouth, mate. What do you got? Black, pink. Okay, a really dark maroon. There we go. Teeth are white. We're gonna need another material. We're gonna duplicate, set it to be that pink color because we still need to do his tongue. Okay, let's make sure the teeth. That's kind of an annoyance. The teeth, since they're sharing the same material as the eyes, won't have an outline, so we're gonna fix that real quick. let's go to the teeth, duplicate, have an outline, and then move it there. There we go. Now for each one of these outlines, let's make the color... It kind of depends on this location, so let's just do it by area. We're going to set the tint to be darker than what the primary color is. That way it'll kind of keep that theme. There we go. Oh, hello. That's what I was afraid of. Yeah, that'll do it. Right? Oh god, he can oh god, that was creepy. His eyes fucking follow you. I just realized that. Because it's inverted, the eyes will always look at you. Yeah, we don't need eye tracking now. That's pretty good for me. Oof. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now with all the materials applied to them, they're kind of all out in the open. I don't like that, so I'm going to create a folder and type in mats, short for materials. Drag them all into there, so that way we don't have to fucking see them. I just realized I said we were going to do an expression, and I didn't fucking put it there. So, how are we going to want to do this? No. Tell you what, since I'm still wanting to show the gesture system, but I really don't think adding an expression would be too good on him, because he doesn't really have eyebrows and the mouth doesn't like to move a lot. We're going to, instead of adding in an emotion, we're going to do something worse. Let's go to you. Let's type in Happy Tree Friends theme. Oh yeah. Gonna download that. Convert. We're going to drag this into the main asset. Now we're going to do the gesture. Whenever you apply a specific finger movement, it will play this song. So we're going to increase the bass, and we're going to attach it to his chest. So we're going to go to chest, audio, audio source. That did not apply where I wanted it to. I'll just drag it underneath chest. There we go. We don't want the max distance to be 500. That will deafen a lot of fucking people. So we'll set it to 10. There should be a ring around him. That tells you the range of where people are going to start hearing it to where it's going to be really loud. This inner circle that's directly surrounding him is where it's going to be the loudest. Now, even if you try to set this roll off to something custom, it's basically going to tell you fuck off and set it back to default. But from what I keep hearing, the best thing to do is always remove this ONSP audio source script. I can't tell that it makes much of a difference, but I hear it all the damn time, so I suppose it's best to just go ahead and do that. It will request an audio clip. We're going to drag the song into that audio clip, and we're going to set it to where it will be invisible on this left side, on the top right. That way it should disappear. So we're going to click on him, we're going to hit Control D, and it will duplicate him. We're going to right click this asset section, create animation override controller. I'm going to name it 1. And we're going to, on the right side, it's asking for what type of controller. We're going to make sure it is the avatar controller template. You should see a whole bunch of crouch idle emotes and other stuff pop up. This is what we want. We're going to now, let's see, how do we want the music to play? Maybe We don't want to do it on point, so maybe rock and roll, I feel like would be a really good one. So we're going to drag it into this open area. I should actually zip that for us. Let me go ahead and do it, because this right here will save you so much fucking time when you're trying to create gestures. I'm going to go to Dropbox here. I'm gonna drop this in the, I suppose I'll drop it in the chitty chat. Shouldn't be a problem. Those gestures you can just add in, and it'll automatically have the finger movements applied to it. A friend of mine gave them to me, and they've saved my ass so many times. So on Lumpy 1, we're gonna drag rock and roll to it. This will create a Lumpy 1 controller. We're going to click Lumpy 1, go to animation, and you'll see that the left hand and right hand is already mapped to be rock and roll. We're going to add property, alt click the armature, and go down to where you see audio source is active. Click is active, go to the right, and click a plus. Click the check mark that's in there. That will tell it needs to be working. We're going to double click this row, click delete, click on 0.01, double click this row, and then Control C, Control V. It will tell it that throughout this entire animation, it will need to play this audio source or whatever I'm telling it needs to be active. See, now it's active on this armature. Whenever you do rock and roll, it will now play that fucking annoying music. So we're going to make the secondary duplicate invisible. We're going to click 1. And you'll see this list. Drag rock and roll to rock and roll. We're going to click Lumpy here. We're going to add component and type in descriptor. The VRC avatar descriptor is what we're going to require to get them uploaded. Now, I lag a lot with this pipeline manager script. If you have this issue, I recommend clicking this arrow on the left of it to where it'll fold in. Now I'm not going to lag anymore. I don't know why it does that, but I found that's the easiest fix. Now, you should see a little white dot at the tip of my mouse right there. That is your eyeballs. That's what you're going to use to fucking see. And because of his giant ass fucking nose, we're going to need to make sure it's moved to a decent location. We're going to change this to 3. No, that actually made it worse. What the hell? That's weird. Okay. That should be good. We're going to increase the height to 6'8". No, 6'6". 5? Yes, that's perfect. So the little white dot is right there. It has a ring around it, a sphere, that will not cull the model in that area, so you won't be blinded by a giant 3D fucking model in your camera vision. It shouldn't do that, but we're gonna find out if that breaks or not. So we've got the vision set up. Now on this right side, we're gonna drag 1. Oh fuck! I'm gonna drag 1 to controller underneath animator. We're gonna drag 1 to custom standing animation and custom sitting animation. This will make it when we do rock and roll, it'll actually play that song. So we're looking good right here. We're virtually done, but his mouth is not going to move. So we're going to have Lumpy selected, armature folded up with body visible. On this right side, there will be a lip sync and avatar descriptor. Click it and click Visine blend shape. It will request a mesh, drag body to there. Wherever your Visemes are, whether it be a separate model or not, always make sure that you drag it into there. If it's not working, these little things, when you click them, will be empty. It will just say none or be blank. So what we're doing is we're going to tell the Viseme to run this particular blend shape with this particular sound. And you can quickly do it by pressing the key on your keyboard. So if I click this and hit S, it's going to just automatically go to S. So P to P, F, F, T, We don't have a the, so we'll possibly go with
Yeah.
D. D is D, K is I, CH is C, S, N will be D. Let's make it E. R, A, E, I, O, and U. There we go. His visemes are set up. When he talks, it should work. I don't see any other changes that need to be applied, so we're going to hit the VRC SDK, build control panel, and this should tell you if there are any issues, but it looks like we're perfectly fine. It'll tell you the audio source needs to be adjusted. It'll do it automatically. It'll just remove it by lower it by 10%. It's not a big thing. We're going to click build. Exit out this little window. It may take a little bit, but this should show up. Now, I don't like where the camera's at because his big ass nose is in the way. So we're going to click Scene, change the perspective to ISO, and click X. We're going to move to where we can see the camera right there. We're going to click it, and this little square will allow us to move it how we want it. So I'm going to change it to where I can change the angle. Oof. Let's see, let's rotate Lumpy a bit. And don't worry, you making these changes while this play button is working does not save any changes to the model. So you could animate him to have specific pose, do whatever you need to, and it won't fuck anything up. I feel like that's pretty good. Let's just make sure his big ass nose is in the camera. God damn. I'm gonna change the camera from skybox to solid color. And we'll make it what color? White should be good. So let's just set it to a pale white. We'll go to game, look at the camera. It looks pretty shitty, but it's better than nothing. We're gonna name it. Whether or not you want it shared, it's up to you. I'm gonna do public because I didn't make this model. I only rigged it and imported it, so I have no right to claim that it should be private. That's up to you though. I'm gonna click upload, and we're going to test it in VRChat. Stretch. And it's done. So we're going to... Oops. I want to keep that window open, thank you. Okay, let's go to open up the game. And thank you. Okay, let's go to Twit. Did I just fuck up? Oof. I think I did. I really hope I didn't fuck up. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm hoping that everything's still working fine. I'm gonna go to Avatar, select Lumpy, change. And already, our main problem is that the camera is in his nose, but we'll ignore it. If you'll see, if this thing will decide to fucking stop. Okay. You can see, oh wow, there's a lot of fucking issues, but you get the idea. The visemes are wanting to work, they're moving, the armature is just weight painted to the wrong fucking section, but his legs are animating, his arms are animating, his fingers are messed up, because whenever you do a model, you notice that his hands are out on the side like this, that's not good. You never want it like this. It will actually cause a lot of fucking problems. The best thing to do, if it'll fucking let me here, you always want your hands sideways if you can help it. But it's too late for this model, it's already messed up. There's nothing we can do. But whenever you are rigging, please make sure that your hand is sideways. Because as you see right here, look at his fingers. They're fucking, oof, they're just all kinds of fucked. But yeah, there you go. You now have an avatar to use in VRChat. Just any changes or fixes you need to make, you'll just apply them in Blender. Make sure that leaf bones are not added when you export, and have Unity update it and upload it. So there you go. We've got a shitty ass lumpy avatar just sitting here. I hope that was good. I'm gonna go ahead and close off the stream. If anyone has any questions or need any resources, let me know, and I will upload the video to YouTube for those who were not able to partake in the stream today. Alright, I think that should cover all of it. I'm gonna go ahead and kill it.